The sky was heavy that evening, like it had swallowed too much rain and didn't know when to spit it back out. Down in the small coastal town of Willow Bay, folks were rushing like ants before a storm. Cars lined the highway, their headlights glowing through the mist, families piling whatever they could into the trunks. Radios kept repeating the same thing: Hurricane Lila is coming. Get out now. Jonah stood on his porch, hands on his waist, staring at the dark line on the horizon. He'd seen storms before, but this one felt different. The air carried a silence that hummed deep inside his bones. He packed slow, steady. A single duffel bag, some canned food, his mama's Bible, and a photo of his late father. He wasn't in a rush, but he wasn't careless either. His truck coughed to life, old but loyal. As he joined the crawling line of cars heading north, he noticed something. People weren't just leaving. They were running. Some cried. Some prayed. Some stared blankly, as if the world had tilted just a bit too far. It was along that jammed-up highway that he saw her. A young woman in a faded yellow raincoat, standing beside a broken-down sedan. Hood up, smoke rising. Cars passed her, honking but not stopping. Jonah slowed. Her eyes met his through the rain. Big, brown, worried. Something in that look made him pull over without a thought. She hesitated at first, clutching her small backpack. Then she stepped closer. "You headed out?" she asked softly. "Yeah," he said. "Hop in. Storm's not waitin'." She slid into the passenger seat, dripping rain on his old seat covers. Her name was Lily. She smelled like wet roses and fear. Neither of them knew that moment was the beginning of something neither the wind nor time could fully erase. Rain beat hard against the windshield as they crept along the highway. The wipers made a slow, tired rhythm. H-H-H clack, H-H clack. As if the truck itself was telling an old story. Jonah kept his eyes on the road, but he could feel Lily's nervous glances. She held her backpack tight like it held more than clothes. He wanted to ask, but something about the silence between them felt sacred. Like if he spoke too soon, he might break it. They passed an old church where folks were kneeling in the mud, singing hymns with cracked voices. A gust of wind shook the truck, and Lily gasped. Jonah steadied the wheel with both hands. "You from around here?" he finally asked. "South of the bay," she said. "I was visiting my aunt. I was supposed to leave yesterday, but my car gave up on me." Jonah nodded. He understood cars giving up at the worst times. He understood a lot of things without needing big words. Hours passed, but the road barely moved. A sheriff's cruiser came by with a loudspeaker, telling people to reroute. Panic spread through the cars like fire in dry grass. Jonah gripped the wheel tighter. Then, out of nowhere, a tree crashed down not 50 feet ahead, slamming onto a minivan. Screams broke out. People got out of their cars, some to help, some to run. Jonah threw the truck in park and jumped out. Lily followed, rain soaking through her coat. Together, they pulled at the twisted door of the minivan, their hands slipping on wet metal. A child cried inside. Jonah's muscles burned as he forced the door open. Lily reached in and pulled the little girl out, holding her like she'd known her all her life. When they returned to the truck, both were shaking, not from cold, but from something that felt like lightning in their chests. They finally left the highway when the sheriff directed cars toward an inland school serving as an evacuation center. Jonah drove through dark, flooded backroads, guided by his gut more than the map. Lily's fingers tapped nervously against her knees. He noticed but didn't say anything. He understood what it felt like to keep fear inside so no one could see it. The school gym was crowded with strangers wrapped in blankets. Jonah parked and they both ran in, soaked to the bone. Inside, it smelled of sweat, wet clothes, and warm soup. Volunteers handed out water and towels. Lily shivered as Jonah draped his jacket over her shoulders. It was too big for her, but she didn't mind. For the first time that night, she smiled. A small, fragile thing that made Jonah's chest tighten. They found a spot near the bleachers. People whispered stories about how bad the storm was getting. Some said roofs were flying off already. Others swore the bay was rising faster than ever before. Thunder rumbled like a warning drum. Then came the loudspeaker crackling. "We need volunteers outside. The west wall's leaking bad. Sandbags now." Jonah stood without thinking. Lily grabbed his arm. "You're going out there?" He gave her a half-smile. "Can't sit still when things need fixing." She hesitated, then stood too. "Then I'm coming with you." Side by side, they joined others in the rain, passing heavy sandbags under the screaming sky. Each lift, each shove against the leaking wall, pulled them closer together in a way neither noticed yet. And somewhere between the thunder and their pounding hearts, the night stitched a quiet bond neither of them could undo. Morning came slow and gray. The storm had shifted but not passed. The gym smelled of damp clothes and instant coffee. Children cried. Old folks prayed. Jonah sat on the bleachers, watching the rain through cracked windows. Lily sat beside him, hair tangled, eyes tired. She told him about her aunt, her small hometown, her job at a bakery. He told her about his father, his mama's porch, the river he used to fish in. Their words wove a soft net between them, catching little truths that felt too tender to say elsewhere. Then a sudden boom shook the building. A power transformer had blown outside, plunging the gym into darkness. Screams rose like smoke. Volunteers rushed to calm everyone. Jonah grabbed Lily's hand without thinking. She squeezed back, hard. A volunteer with a flashlight announced that part of the road north had collapsed overnight. Some evacuees would have to be moved again deeper inland. The list was long, and confusion filled the room like fog. Jonah's truck still had gas. He told Lily he could drive her further if needed. She nodded, trusting him without words. They packed quickly. As they walked out into the misty daylight, they saw the road. Trees down, power lines dangling like wild vines, water rising in places it shouldn't. Jonah felt a weight in his chest, a pull he couldn't explain. He looked at Lily beside him, her raincoat muddy, hair sticking to her cheeks, eyes steady. She wasn't just another stranger anymore. She was something else. The wind picked up again, and the sky growled. The storm wasn't done. They hit the road again, this time on smaller country paths that twisted through fields and forests. Jonah knew these roads better than the back of his hand. But now they were half-flooded, broken in places, with branches scattered like bones. Lily kept looking back, as if afraid something might follow them. The radio crackled with emergency updates. Roads closing, shelters filling up, the hurricane changing direction unexpectedly. They reached an old wooden bridge that crossed a swollen creek. Jonah stopped the truck. The water was rising fast, licking the bottom of the planks. "We can make it if we go quick," he said. Lily stared at the water. "And if we don't?" He gave her a steady look. "Then we turn back and try to find another way. But that'll take hours we might not have." The wind howled like a beast behind them. The choice hung in the air. Jonah pressed his foot on the gas. The truck roared forward, tires splashing, bridge creaking under their weight. Halfway through, a massive branch hit the side of the truck. Lily screamed. Jonah fought the wheel. The bridge groaned like it might give out any second. But they made it. On the other side, Lily burst into shaky laughter, half relief, half disbelief. Jonah laughed too, breathless. For a moment, the storm felt far away. But as they drove on, both silently wondered how long that fragile thread between safety and danger would hold. And somewhere deep inside, neither wanted the journey to end. Not just because of the storm, but because of each other. The road grew lonelier the further they went. Houses turned to barns, barns to empty fields. The sky hung low and bruised, like a warning whispered too late. Jonah kept both hands firm on the wheel as the truck splashed through muddy puddles. Lily sat quiet, watching the trees bend like dancers forced into strange shapes. After miles of silence, they came upon a small gas station, the kind that looked older than time. Its windows were boarded, but the sign flickered weakly. Jonah pulled in, hoping for supplies or maybe someone who knew the road ahead. The air smelled of wet earth and gasoline. A man stepped out from behind the building, tall, lean, wearing a soaked cowboy hat. His eyes were sharp, like he'd seen too many storms. "You folks lost?" he asked, voice gravelly. Just passin' through, Jonah replied. Headin' inland. The man eyed Lily, then the truck. Road's bad up ahead. Real bad. Bridge washed clean off last night. Jonah felt his stomach tighten. Any other way? The man tilted his head. There's a dirt trail through Miller's Woods. Ain't on no map. Dangerous, though. Mud'll swallow you whole if you're not careful. Lily shifted nervously. Do we have a choice? The man shrugged. Choice or not, storm's still comin'. Up to you. Jonah thanked him, bought the last 2 bottles of water and a half-flat soda, then climbed back into the truck. He glanced at Lily. Her eyes met his, unsure but trusting. He started the engine. Miller's Woods it is, he said quietly. She nodded. As they pulled away, the man in the cowboy hat watched them disappear down the dirt trail, his expression unreadable. Somewhere in those woods, something waited, mud, wind, or maybe fate itself. The path through Miller's Woods was narrow and wild, a snake of mud cutting through a forest that moaned with the wind. Tree limbs hung low, scratching at the truck like fingers. Lily gripped the door handle as they bumped and slid through puddles. Jonah leaned forward, squinting at the trail ahead. He'd grown up around woods like these, but something about this one felt off. Too quiet in places, too alive in others. Rain thickened again, turning the windshield into a blurred canvas. Wipers struggled to keep up. A sudden shape flashed across the road. Deer. Maybe. Jonah swerved, tires slipping dangerously close to the ditch. Lily gasped, hand pressing against his arm. You okay? He asked. She nodded quickly, but her breathing stayed fast. I don't like this place. Neither do I, Jonah admitted. A few minutes later, they came to a deep rut in the trail, filled with murky water. Jonah stopped, engine rumbling like a restless horse. If we go too slow, we'll get stuck. Too fast, we might spin out. Lily swallowed hard. So, what do we do? He gave her a small grin, though his heart thumped heavy. We trust the truck. He gunned it. Mud flew. The truck tilted, groaned, then lurched forward, splashing through like a stubborn bull. They made it across, but Jonah's knuckles were white. Lily laughed nervously, a wild, shaky sound that cut through the rain. He laughed too, mostly because fear and adrenaline felt the same in moments like these. Then, without warning, the engine coughed. Once, twice, then died. The truck sat in the middle of the woods, rain pounding the roof, darkness closing in like a slow, steady tide. Jonah tried the ignition again and again, but the truck just clicked uselessly. The forest outside seemed to listen. Lily's eyes darted around. Why did it stop? Water got somewhere it shouldn't, Jonah muttered, popping the hood. He stepped out into the rain, mud swallowing his boots. Steam rose from the engine like a sigh. He fiddled with wires, wiped water, muttered curses under his breath. Lily sat inside, watching him through the rain-streaked glass. Her heart pounded. The woods felt alive, whispering secrets she couldn't understand. Branches creaked overhead. A distant howl, or maybe just the wind, echoed through the trees. She hugged her backpack tighter. Then she saw it. A figure moving between the trees. Tall, still, watching. Her throat tightened. Jonah, she whispered, but he couldn't hear. She unlocked the door, stepped out slowly. The rain hit her face like cold hands. She looked toward the trees. The figure was gone. Only swaying branches remained. Jonah slammed the hood down, frustrated. We'll need a minute before she starts again. There was someone, Lily said shakily. Right there. Jonah scanned the woods. Nothing. Just shadows and rain. Probably a tree. Woods play tricks in storms. But Lily wasn't so sure. Something deep inside whispered otherwise. She climbed back in, wet and trembling. Jonah followed, starting the ignition again. This time the engine sputtered, coughed, and roared back to life. As they drove away, neither noticed the muddy footprints leading out of the trees toward where they had stopped. They emerged from Miller's Woods near dusk. The sky had turned an angry orange, clouds swirling like they couldn't make up their mind. Jonah exhaled a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Lily leaned back against the seat, exhausted. Ahead lay a small town, barely more than a gas station, diner, and a few scattered houses. But the sight of streetlights flickering on felt like salvation. They pulled into the diner parking lot. Inside, the smell of frying onions and coffee hit them like a warm blanket. People sat huddled in booths, murmuring over radios. The storm had shifted direction again, heading inland faster than anyone expected. The waitress, a round woman with kind eyes, brought them 2 bowls of hot soup without even asking. "On the house," she said. "Y'all look like you've been through it." They sat in silence, sipping the soup, letting the warmth thaw their bones. Lily finally spoke. "You think we'll make it out before it hits here too?" Jonah wiped his mouth. "We're not staying to find out." They refueled the truck and asked around for open roads. An old man at the counter warned them about flooded highways and broken bridges. "You best find high ground," he said. "Storms comin' quicker than a fox after a chicken." Outside, the wind picked up again, rattling the diner windows. Lily stared at the dark horizon. Jonah paid the bill, grabbed the keys, and looked at her. "You ready?" She nodded. But deep down, both of them knew they weren't just running from a storm anymore. Something had started between them, something the wind couldn't blow away. Night fell hard and sudden, like someone dropped a curtain over the world. They drove under a sky split by lightning, the road ahead glowing white for a heartbeat, then disappearing into black again. The radio crackled with warnings. "Evacuate now, roads closing, shelters overflowing." But Jonah's focus stayed on the road and the woman beside him. Lily had fallen quiet, staring at the storm outside like it was whispering secrets only she could hear. "Lily," Jonah said softly. She turned toward him. "You okay?" She nodded slowly. "I keep thinking about how strange this is. Hours ago I was stranded. Now I'm here, with you." He smiled faintly. "Stranger things have happened on storm nights." The wind slammed against the truck like a wave. Lily flinched. Jonah reached over and squeezed her hand. She didn't pull away. For a moment, the world shrank to just their hands, warm and steady in the middle of the chaos. Then headlights appeared behind them. A truck, old and dented, following close. Too close. Jonah frowned. "That's odd. Haven't seen a soul for miles." The other truck stayed on their tail, even when he sped up. Lily glanced behind. "Jonah, I don't like this." Neither did he. He turned down a side road, hoping to lose them. But the headlights followed. The storm roared louder. And somewhere deep inside, Jonah knew the night wasn't done testing them yet. The old truck behind them stuck like a shadow. No matter how many turns Jonah took, it followed. The storm threw sheets of rain against the windshield, making the road blur and twist like a river. Lily clutched the dashboard, her heart hammering. "Jonah, they're not just driving. They're following us." "I know," he said through clenched teeth. "Hold on." He pressed harder on the gas, the engine groaning as they sped down the winding road. Lightning flashed, revealing the truck behind them, a rusted pickup with one broken headlight. For a split second, Jonah saw the silhouette of 2 men inside, their faces hidden by the glare. The road dipped suddenly. Water pooled ahead. Jonah's gut clenched. He couldn't slow down without letting the truck catch up. So he did what any stubborn man with nothing left to lose would do. He floored it. The truck hit the water with a violent splash, the back fishtailing. Lily screamed as they skidded sideways, tires struggling to find grip. Jonah fought the wheel, muscles burning. Somehow, the truck straightened, shooting out of the water like a wet bullet. He checked the mirror. The rusted truck tried to follow, but the water was deeper now. It stalled in the middle, headlights flickering like dying fireflies. Jonah exhaled a shaky breath. "That'll slow him down." Lily turned to him, breathless. "Who were they?" "I don't know," he said. But inside, a chill ran down his spine. In storms like this, danger didn't just fall from the sky. It crawled up from the dark places too. They drove on in silence, the road winding deeper inland, the storm chasing them like a wild dog that wouldn't quit. They finally pulled over at a small roadside chapel perched on a hill. The sign read Grace Hollow Baptist Church, letters faded but still proud. The parking lot was empty except for a lone bicycle and a tipped-over trash bin. Jonah killed the engine. The quiet after the storm's roar felt strange, almost too still. Lily hugged herself as they stepped inside. Candles flickered along the wooden walls, casting warm light over the pews. A small group of evacuees huddled near the altar, whispering prayers. A preacher with silver hair and a kind smile welcomed them. "Y'all are safe here for now. Storms still move in fast, but these walls are strong." Jonah and Lily sat near the back, drying off, sipping warm tea handed out by a volunteer. For a moment, it felt like a sanctuary. Soft voices, creaking wood, a hush that wrapped around them like a quilt. Then the chapel doors burst open with a howl of wind. 2 soaked men stepped in, the same rusted truck men. Their eyes scanned the room, hard and searching. Jonah stiffened. Lily's fingers tightened around his arm. The preacher approached them calmly. "Brothers, come on in. Shelters for everyone." They nodded slowly, their smiles thin. They took a seat near the side, but their eyes never left Jonah and Lily. It was the kind of look that said, "We remember you." Lily whispered, "They found us." Jonah whispered back, "We'll leave before dawn." But the storm outside wasn't letting up, and the night had other plans. Thunder shook the chapel like a drum. Rain beat against the windows, and lightning lit up the stained glass in flashes of red and gold. The preacher led a quiet prayer, voices rising and falling like waves. But Jonah wasn't praying. He was watching. The 2 men had moved closer, row by row, pretending to look around. Lily leaned into him, her heartbeat loud enough he could almost hear it. One of the men whispered something to the other and slipped out through a side door. Jonah's gut twisted. He stood up quietly. Lily grabbed his sleeve. "Where are you going?" "Just keep close," he murmured. He followed the man outside into the rain-soaked night. The wind tugged at his jacket as he crept around the side of the chapel. There, behind the building, the man was messing with something near Jonah's truck, cutting the tires. "Hey!" Jonah shouted. The man turned, a knife glinting in his hand. For a heartbeat, they stared at each other through the rain. Then the man bolted toward the woods. Jonah ran after him, boots sinking into the mud. Branches whipped his face. The man disappeared into the darkness, swallowed by trees and wind. When Jonah returned to the truck, both back tires were slashed. Lily ran out to meet him, eyes wide. "What happened?" He wiped rain from his face. "They want us stuck here." The preacher came outside, lantern in hand. "What's all this commotion?" Jonah's jaw tightened. "Trouble. The kind that don't care about storms." Inside, the second man watched from a pew, a slow smile spreading across his wet face. The night stretched long and uneasy. Some evacuees slept on pews, but Jonah and Lily stayed awake, whispering plans. "We can't stay here," Lily said. "They'll try again." "I know," Jonah replied. "But without tires, we're sittin' ducks." The preacher offered to help in the morning. There was a nearby farm that might have spare tires. But dawn felt far away. Outside, the storm beat against the chapel like it wanted in. Inside, danger waited in human form. Near midnight, Lily slipped outside to get some air. The rain had softened to a mist. She stood under the awning, staring at the dark forest. A strange calm fell over her. Then she heard footsteps behind her. She turned. One of the men stood there, too close, his smile sharp. "You're far from home," he said slowly. "I'm not alone," she replied. He tilted his head. "Storms wash away more than houses. They wash away rules." Before he could take a step closer, Jonah appeared from the shadows, crowbar in hand. His voice was low and steady. "She said she's not alone." The man's smile faded. "Ain't no need for trouble." "Then get back inside," Jonah said. The man stared a second longer, then spat on the ground and walked away. Lily exhaled shakily. Jonah didn't say a word. He just stood beside her, the storm mist curling around them like breath. Some storms came from the sky, Others wore faces. Dawn crept in slow, pale and quiet. The rain had finally calmed, but dark clouds still hovered like they weren't done. Jonah helped the preacher hitch a ride with a volunteer to the nearby farm. Lily stayed behind with a few women, watching the men closely. The two strangers pretended to rest, but their eyes never softened. When Jonah returned with 2 muddy spare tires, relief washed through him. But as he was fitting the first tire, he noticed something. Lily's backpack was gone. She rushed outside, panic in her eyes. It was right here. All my things. My ID, my aunt's address, everything. Jonah scanned the chapel. The 2 men were gone. Tire tracks led down the dirt road, away from the church. They took it, Lily whispered, voice breaking. Jonah felt a hot rush of anger rise in his chest. Then we're getting it back. He finished fixing the truck faster than he ever had in his life. Lily climbed in, tears mixing with the mist on her face. They followed the muddy tracks down a narrow road that cut through open fields. The sky darkened again, wind picking up. Up ahead, they saw the rusted truck parked near an old barn. Jonah slowed, eyes narrowing. Stay here, he told Lily. She shook her head. No, I'm not staying behind. Inside that barn, a new kind of storm was waiting. Not made of wind and water, but fear, fury, and the fierce need to stand your ground. The barn loomed ahead like a dark beast with its mouth open. Wooden boards creaked in the wind, and the air smelled of wet hay and rusted metal. Jonah parked the truck behind a cluster of trees. Engine off. The rusted truck was there, doors wide open, mud caked on its tires. Lily's backpack sat right on the hood, like bait left out in the open. Jonah's eyes narrowed. They want us to come for it, Lily whispered. Then let's surprise them first. They moved quietly, sticking close to the shadows. Rain dripped steadily from the barn roof, tapping like impatient fingers. Jonah crept to the side door and peered in. 2 men stood near an oil drum fire inside. One held a crowbar. The other flipped through Lily's bag, pulling out papers and tossing them aside carelessly. Lily's jaw clenched. They're reading my letters. Jonah placed a hand on her arm. Stay behind me. He pushed the door open slowly. It squeaked, giving him away. The men turned, eyes sharp. Well, look who came knockin', the taller one said with a crooked grin. Jonah stepped in, crowbar in hand. That's hers. Give it back. The shorter man laughed, a dry, ugly sound. Or what? Lightning flashed through the barn windows, turning the scene white for a heartbeat. When darkness returned, everyone had shifted. Tension thickened like hot tar. Jonah didn't wait for threats. He lunged forward, swinging the crowbar just enough to make the taller man stumble back. Lily grabbed her backpack off the hood and ran toward the truck. The shorter man tried to grab her, but Jonah caught his arm and twisted it hard. The man yelped. The taller one came back swinging, but Jonah ducked. The fight turned messy. Mud, fists, rain, and rage. Lily honked the truck horn, a sharp sound slicing through the storm. Jonah used the distraction to shove both men into a pile of hay and sprinted toward the truck. He jumped in, slammed the door, and started the engine. The men stumbled out as the truck roared away. Lily clutched her backpack to her chest, breathing hard. Jonah's knuckles were split, but his eyes burned steady. Neither spoke. The storm didn't need words. They drove fast through empty country roads, hearts still pounding from the fight. Lily held onto her bag like it was a lifeline. The rain had eased into a misty drizzle, but the sky still hung low and gray. Jonah's hands were firm on the wheel, blood drying on his knuckles. Are you hurt? Lily finally asked. He glanced down at his hands. Nothing I can't handle. She opened her backpack and pulled out a handkerchief, gently wrapping it around his hand. Her touch was soft, careful. Jonah tried to hide the way it made his chest tighten. I thought they were gonna... She started, then stopped, shaking her head. They didn't, he said simply. Because we didn't let them. She looked at him then, really looked. Why'd you help me? You could have just left me on that highway. Jonah's eyes stayed on the road. Didn't feel right, leaving someone to fight the wind alone. Silence fell between them, not cold this time, but warm, like something quiet and honest had just been said. As they reached higher ground, the radio crackled with a new warning. The storm had changed direction again. It was curving inland, chasing them. Roads ahead were flooding fast. Jonah glanced at Lily. "We're not out of this yet." She gave a shaky smile. "Then I guess we keep driving." The truck rolled on through the mist, two strangers bound by storm and choice, heading into the unknown together. They found shelter at a small roadside inn perched on a hill. The sign flickered vacancy in tired red letters. Most rooms were already full with evacuees, but the innkeeper, a thin man with a worn smile, offered them the last room at the far end of the hallway. "Storms move in quick," he said. "Y'all stay put till it passes." The room smelled faintly of cedar and old rain. A single lamp cast a warm glow over the small space. Lily sat on the edge of the bed, kicking off her soaked shoes. Jonah hung his jacket by the door, his shoulders finally relaxing after days of running. For the first time there was quiet, real quiet. No engines, no rain pounding, no strangers lurking, just two people breathing in the same soft space. Lily glanced at him. "Feels strange, being still." Jonah chuckled softly. "Storm's been chasing us so hard. I forgot what still felt like." They talked late into the night. She told him about her small bakery, how she loved making honey biscuits in the mornings when the town was still asleep. He told her about fishing with his father and sitting on the porch with his mama during summer storms, counting the seconds between lightning and thunder. Somewhere in the middle of their stories, the world outside faded. Lily's laughter filled the room like warm light. Jonah's guard slipped, little by little, like shutters opening after a long winter. But storms have a way of waiting for moments like these. At 3 a.m., the emergency sirens wailed.